Welcome back everyone to another episode of Warlock, Master of the Arcane. As you can see on the map in the bottom right hand corner, Mr. Frost's wintry grip extends all throughout the world. At the moment though, there are some really unruly, rebellious forces, shall we say, in the world which dare to stand up to my rule. This is very, very displeasing to me, and thus these forces must be put down with extreme prejudice and be set as an example for anyone else who dares question my authority, my supreme authority. The first of my victims, or rather the first of these examples, is a little-known life priestess known as Anna the Benign. Earlier on in the map, when I was dealing with some very small matters, she had the audacity to attack me. I was unprepared for this attack. She thought she had the upper hand, and thus believed that she could take care of me very swiftly before I had any chance to retaliate. Little did she know that I was fully prepared for her puny attack, and thus was more than capable of quelling it. Now, with all of her cities in shambles, and of course raising my flag high above them, she has nothing left but to maintain her one remaining seat of power in this world, something she has a complete inability to defend, and something which will soon be very mine. Over here we're setting an example against one of my other rivals, a guy which, although did not necessarily do anything wrong to me, in fact he did indeed try to have a very brief lasting alliance with me, was proven to be a little bit more of a nuisance than an asset to my world's conquest. Since he does not believe in the power of Christmas and the rule of Saint Nicholas, then he must too be put to the sword, although he's a little bit more difficult to deal with, and thus his retribution will come in time. At the moment, we do have additional forces in Volland, which are going out to explore to see what they can see. And what they see is other conquests for my glorious reign and rule. What have we found is a red dragon and a dragon's nest. It can be looted by any unit, and is probably something that's going to be very useful in my continued conquest. Red dragons, however, are extremely resistant to damage, and thus I may not be able to deal with it. We shall see about that. I have researched Boon of Death, which is a buff to undead units, and I can research Lands of Death. That sounds pretty cool. Let's do that for our great goddess Scripture. Yes, yes. Some small upkeep is necessary for any rule, but after just telling everyone that build whatever you want, I'm not that concerned anymore, then everything shall be fine. The treemen dare to attack my northern place of Norcastle, but they're not very. They're not going to be able to maintain that for very long. Earth elementals and a mystic portal. I shall have to deal with them very soon. My Crom's house cards are at the moment quite out of the way. After they kill these bears, I shall send them to assist my war efforts elsewhere. And I've got a fantastic teleportation spell which is ready to be cast. I do not believe I wish to cast it at the moment though, and do believe I want to hang on to it for just a little bit longer But alas, it is actually prompting me to cast the spell, and something I do not appear to be able to do until I cast it. So instead of wasting the mana, I'm going to cancel the spell, start preparing it again, which is extremely annoying, and I don't even need to prepare it again, it looks like. So I will be casting no spell at the moment. Rakjar will try to defend his lands against my assaults. And at the moment be rather successful in quelling my attack. Is this a concern to me? Not really. His skeleton forces have no method of actually attacking the air units, so as long as that air galleon is keeping a vigilant watch over Bone Forts, then there is no way that victory will be his. Anna the Benign has turned to indiscriminately attacking both my units and her own. A foolish display of desperation, which will prove to be ultimately futile. In the alternate dimension of hell, the dragon walks out to attack. But my Highblade Master is more than capable
You have received a new request, my lord.
Stopping that inevitable assault. I'll move my dragon up into the mountains, which will give my other units the ability to move around. And since it's got that high amount of regeneration every turn, there is no way that his tireless assault will end.
Cavalry!
Spellhaven is unfortunately a capital, and thus is unreasonably difficult to take out, but as I just continue my relentless assault, it should be very easy to eventually whittle it down to nothing. With so much research under my belt, it's more than easy for me to research whatever spell I want, of course ignoring all the fire spells, which are not that great, really. I mean, I'm the Lord of Frost. I don't really need that much command over the fire. And it looks like I need a temple to Krypja, and she's offering me to give some Sisters of Krypja, which is very handy. When Meltberg reaches size level 2, then, or rather size level 5, then I'll have more than the ability to build another Holy Grounds temple. The Dracolich is going to attack some more, and unfortunately the Highblade Master, although he's strong, does not have the ability to attack any flying units. So he's just going to walk over and loot the Dragon's Nest as well. He will recruit, get a Wand of Helia for his efforts, and then get the hell out of Dodge. With the ability of meta-teleportation,
Just name it.
I can swiftly whisk him away from that place to somewhere he'll be a little bit more handy, which is right next to Spellhaven. Okay. I do not have the mana to cast another meta-teleportation, so I'm going to send my high hero units down this way and pretty much tell him to hold the ground until I can send reinforcements. There's another holy ground there, but I have no way of founding a city there. I could teleport in a city, a settler, but as it stands, I don't think that'll be that useful. I would just shoot those skeleton settlers, but I'd much rather just kill off her units.
Loot, 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 loot.
Unfortunately, my flying galleon has no method of entering that portal because it's currently being guarded. And I'll send my very, very special little house cars this way. Hopefully across the lands to provoke the elementals into moving off the base and actually fighting me like men. Rikjar is valiantly moving his forces around, but believe it or not, with a fantastic attack from some green bats, he managed to retake his town. How distressing. But it's not something that will be that inconveniencing, as the enemy is ultimately doomed. It's just a token effort. In the Outlands, my forces continue to be beset on all sides of savage creatures from another plane. But alas, it's not that difficult to deal with. I do need to extract my chosen warrior, so with one cast of meta teleportation, a very high level spell only able to be cast by the most experienced of magic users, I shall be able to summon him directly onto this island so we can deal with these elementals instead, hopefully provoking them outside of their comfort zone and into attacking me instead. Okay. I would like to upgrade the Elven Bungalow to an Elvish Sharpshooter place, so let's take a look and see what the prerequisite building for that is. Elven Shooting Grounds requires a... doesn't really say, does it? How annoying. Oh well. Just says it's not big enough, so I guess I'll just need to believe it. When it says it's not big enough, just can't be done. Oh boy. My ranged attack is not going to be that useful against those treemans. But let's bombard this town with absolutely everything we've got. Bring it down to its knees and prevent it from being much more of a hassle to me. Everything, attack it at once.
Forward!
Did someone say ball?
It's nearly taken care of. And Bone Forts, I believe I can retake it with just some smart application of Elvish arrows. Okay, march my Elven archers into it, recapture it, and then shoot down those green bats.
Don't do that.
And use him to destroy these skeleton archers there.
Woo! Time to move.
That was a little bit stressful. I didn't realize that the enemy could retake my forces, retake their forces so easily. But it's not that big of a deal. In fact, by just some simple moving around my guys and application of Elvish arrows, I should be able to... I retook Bone Fort. Proving once again that their resistance is useless and that they should indeed just give up. These Elvish arrows, which are very strong, are proving to not be that effective against her forces. And for some reason, those guys were able to attack a flying unit, which is very suspicious. I don't believe the enemy has any ability to do that, but I suppose I cannot really argue with the game, can I? By going to my two main buildings, I can recruit another Blade Masters, and I will be having another Dracolich joining my forces very shortly.
I'm back.
They're just too useful to pass up. How will the enemy manage to stop my inevitable assault? I keep using the word inevitable. It's not, that word does not mean what I think it means. My savage assault, my relentless assault, my assaults to end all assaults. There is no way that they will be able to survive this. Unless, of course, they've got massive amounts of ranged resistance, which is extremely useful in preventing me from taking them over.
Robbers.
Okay. I would love to take a look in this portal, please.
The battle calls.
And zombies. Fantastic. Rakjar is a more competent enemy than I thought he would be. If he just was positioned a little bit better at the start of the game, he could have posed to be a really formidable adversary. Unfortunately for him, the only way off that island was to build a boat, which evidently he did not think of doing. To make matters worse, there's a whole bunch of undead which randomly spawned within the world.
Congratulations! You have successfully researched a new spell, my lord.
Of course, that is just a minor delay. Something I will be able to take care of. Where are you anyway? I don't even know. You're so puny in the grand scheme of things that I can barely see you. Why did you even bother? Especially when my world domination is so very, very, very close at hand.
Lords of Night.
Hook out.
This might be Anna the Benign's very last turn.
Did someone say ball?
Anna, you were an annoying enemy, but I'm afraid it's the end for you. One final attack spells your doom. Anna the Benign.
Great mage has been defeated.
And now, with you successfully put out of your misery, I can turn my entire attentions onto this remaining resistance to my world's domination. A very, very valiant attempt to prevent and delay what is to come, but unfortunately it's just not good enough. With meta teleportation, I'm able to easily get my guys up onto the front lines. So, yes, soon you will be mine, and soon the game will be victorious. I will win. Oh, Undead, why did you have to randomly appear? Everything was going fantastic until you showed up. The downside to having a world-spanning empire is that those random events become all the more annoying.
Let's have some fun.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for you, it's not that annoying, and I will be able to crush you. On the bright side, I will be able to see what's in the other world as after all. Hey, Raksha! Behind you! Behind you there is a fantastic little friend, which is wanting so very much to meet you. It's a fantastic little Dracolich! And I'm sure that you two will become very, very well acquainted. You're Mr. Undead, aren't you? Therefore, you should appreciate the kind of forces I'm going to send against you.
The new spell research is complete.
With another meta-teleportation in place, I'll be able to summon my High Blade Master into the fray as well, behind enemy lines where he will be least expected. Since he was foolish enough to put himself right next to the water, my Blade Master can use his special attacks from the luxury of standing in the water. Let's position my Dracolich so he'll be able to do as much damage as possible. And get rid of the softer of the two defensive buildings.
They are doomed.
Indeed, mages, they are doomed. In fact, I don't even need them to attack the enemies anymore. All I just need to do is make them heal themselves with their fantastic elven magic, and turn my attention instead on their cities. I do wish I had some sort of turn undead spell, but I only get that from worshipping Favros, a god of law and of order and of paladins and so forth. So, alas, since I do not have that available to me, I must content myself with just pummeling them fist to fist, or fist to bone, as the case may be. Enemy at the gates! What are we going to do against these neutral skeletons which cropped up on almost what is the very last turn?
Ready to pillage. Yeah.
Oh no, they retreated. It appears like they didn't want to play after all.
Finest.
Let's rest those guys up so when I get ready to cast another meta-teleportation, which is right now, then I can bring them quickly into the fray. Oh my god, so many enemy at the gates.
Yes, my lord. Fog.
Yes, he finally goes into the portal and discovers the polar opposites to Volland, Snowland. Fantastic. It's a plane of snow and of ice and of a plane after my own heart, really. Maybe I should settle there. I should relocate a capital to the plane of snow and worship, or rather, control the world from a throne of pure ice. That should be exciting. The Elven Archers are being beset by forces, but they're holding the ground very valiantly. Oh no, the Housecarls are in trouble. My very special little men are in trouble. And the monsters continue to try to beset all my towns. Fortunately, they're mostly unsuccessful. Their pitiful attacks are able only to do negligible damage on my forces. And my chosen warrior is doing a stand-up job against the forces of the other world. So in order to assist him with his continued attack, I'm going to give him some additional armor. I'm going to enchant his weapons and make him drilled as well, which will just give him that slight edge required to maintain his force. Okay, let's go back to Ardania. Let's see what units needs to be teleported out of danger into somewhere more useful. The Housecarls. A unit which is sort of in danger. Let's teleport you up here.
Just name it.
High Blade Master, attack! Dracolich, attack! Destruction, delicious, delightful destruction. They have no chance to survive.
Let's have some fun.
And with some just indiscriminate shooting in the general direction of my enemies. I can finish this off relatively quickly. Yes, all of the craftsmen's districts. Except for you. You have a great granary. More money! More money! All of the money. Why cannot I hold all of this money? It's because it's ridiculous. You don't hold all the money. You put it in the bank. And after we go through the tiresome rounds of making sure that all my units attack.
Command us then.
Ready for slashing.
Oh my god. You guys are just as fantastically special as my
Time to
Blade
move.
Master. How very precious. I'll summon Mr. Skipper Morgan the Paladin to my place as soon as I've got the mana to do that. All of these repeated castings is really having a massive drain on my mana. Ah, come on, please. I just want to end the turn.
Stubborn knights.
Yes, end the turn. Yes, he's managing to maintain the pressure on Bone Forts through massive amounts of Tier 1 units. Congratulations. This snow ground is actually quite an effective training ground. It's getting him quite a lot of experience as he holds his ground and defends against the forces, both holy and unholy, in the plane of snow and misery. Enemies at the gates, is it? Well, I would have never guessed. Considering my current circumstance, I couldn't imagine any enemy foolish enough to do a prolonged attack against me. It's just not going to work. At all. His death is pretty much guaranteed.
Grosh.
I could just move my chosen warrior around to that place and then master cleave on the fort as it continues to get rebuilt. Over and over again.
Do you need our service?
I do have no, I'm missing one mana point in order to summon my guy straight across the water, but it seems like I don't even need to summon that guy. What I could be able to do is, if I throw water walking onto him instead, then I can send him straight across. The vampires, unfortunately, the vampires, as I was saying, unfortunately aren't going to do that much damage against the undead units because they use death magic. And death magic, as expected, does not work very much against something which is already dead. More goddamn bears! Didn't I loot that place? Or maybe I forgot. You accursed bears. You accursed, cursed bears. The Paladin Rat Prince runs straight across the water to attack the enemies. The Dracolich lays siege, merciless siege, on the Castle Blackcliff. High Blade Master walks straight around the buildings and so forth, and then performs a great mighty cleave onto this place, destroying everything within his reach, and putting the enemies down. Blackcliff is almost mine, and once Blackcliff falls, the last enemy is effectively put onto the ropes and then mercilessly pummeled into submission.
Let's have some fun.
Okay. Alright, so we're almost finished. After the end of a long and somewhat tiresome campaign, victory is almost within sight. The forces of winter have effectively taken over everything there is to take over in the world. Victory is assured, and tales of my great conquest will be told throughout the ages, until the end of time.
Lords of Night.
Clear-eyed and ready.
Continue exploring, please. See what we can find. A hermit's house, huh? We'll see what's in the hermit's house. That seems pretty exciting. You're a tough guy. You can take care of it. As if the enemies in the additional world are going to pose any threats to you, Mr. Chosen Warrior. As expected, they were silly enough to move away from their hermit's house, and thus give my chosen warrior perfect access to go and attack it.
The new spell research is complete.
Okay, so Black Cliff is nearly destroyed. How about we pour one last attack onto it and crush it to pieces? Alright, with this under my control, I can march my guys up to Evil Ra now. And then do a massive 10-pronged assault on their defenses. Everything, march up and begin Operation Screw This Guy.
Mages!
Ice arrow from a distance. With the last town in the place under siege, we have very, very, very nearly won the game. And he wishes to make peace, but at this point, I am not going to accept. I'm not going to accept at all. I wish him dead. And I want the world all to myself. I don't want to have to share it with anyone. So move up to the hermit's house, loot it, then run away before you can get killed and attacked. But it looks like you're going to die. There is no way I can prevent this unless, of course, I cast the fantastic spell Meta-Teleportation to temporarily retreat you back to Ardania, where you can be a little bit more useful in assaulting the enemy's base.
Attack!
Okay.
Did someone say ball?
Alright. My forces, every single unit I've got is slowly approaching this remaining town. Will he be able to stop my relentless assault? I do not know. My money's on not. Definitely not. This guy is definitely screwed. And it looks like those opportunistic trees are moving up to attack Norcastle once the bats are away. So it looks like I'll need to actually send some defense back up to that place, lest it get overrun by treemen. The green bats, the loyal watchers of Norcastle, continue to maintain vigilant watch and discourage the trees from attacking.
Ready for slashing. Crush.
They've got their own little miniature version of Cleave, which is just as effective as Master Cleave, even if it does not deal as much blasty damage as I'd expect.
Yes, my lord.
The gun, the fairly swift, has taken some moderate amount of damage, so what I might do is, in my infinite generosity, I'll throw a healing spell onto him.
Elven archers!
The Elven archers move up to the back to maintain their Assault on the capital.
Groan! Groan!
Oh my god, Housecarls! You are my favorite unit in the game! You sound so fantastic and not annoying in the slightest. Very, very fantastic.
Ooh, time to move.
I should have disembarked him. Ah, I keep getting embark and disembark mixed up. When I become ruler of the world, I'm changing the meaning of those two words around. Bats, do not destroy the vampires. You're supposed to be friends there. And that Kraken's a pain. I wish he'd go away forever. The trees, scared off by the bats, have no choice but to retreat.
A new spell has been researched, my lord.
Let's cast a shadow. Oh wait, yeah, a shadow bolt on the capital. Although undead units may be pretty much immune to the effects of death magic, their cities are certainly not.
Attack!
As you
Don't do that.
Evil Ara is going further and further down into the deficit of hit points.
Gods.
I think it's confident to say that this is the end. Skipper Morgans, the guy who had to prove himself in order to join my fantastic little cadre of heroes, has actually proven himself to be very useful indeed. He has finally earned his blessing of the Hillowin. Congratulations, young man. Congratulations. Take it to the win. With one final mighty strike on Ivalar, Rakshar is
Great mage has been defeated.
My final rival in the game. Now, victory for Nicholas Frost. The world enters a brand new ice age, and we deck the halls of something or other. Victory! A great victory.
The great mage has achieved a great victory. All leaders and all races have bent their knees before him, and under his wise rule, Ardania will remember at last what the words peace and order truly mean.
Wow. 10 episodes. One game of Warlock, Master of the Arcane. It's a very, very fun strategy game. I like it a lot. It can be a little bit tiresome, especially near the end when it's pretty much guaranteed that you're going to win. And it's just more just this long, drawn-out final battle. But I think it's great. It's also got a fun multiplayer mode where you can play with other people, and that usually goes a lot better than just merely fighting the artificial intelligence, which, as you can see, tends to make some very, very silly mistakes that a human mind would not make at all. Well, this was a little experiment of mine. I'm glad that you sat through it to the end, and yeah, I like this game a lot. I'm not terribly good at it, but I can carry a victory away on normal mode. As usual, thanks for watching, everyone. Join me next time when I play something else. And goodbye for now.